Jennifer Rosario de Castellano here with Florida National News, visiting with FeiFei Lu of FeiFei Lu Chinese Traditional Medicine in Longwood, Florida. FeiFei, thank you for joining us on Florida National News.
Thank you for having me, Jennifer.
We've been hearing from a lot of patients today who are former COVID-19 patients, and they said they've been coming to you for treatments.
Yes, that's correct.
So can you explain to us this process? Do people come here with COVID and get tested? Or do they call you over the phone? How are you helping them?
Yeah, sure. And they don't really come into the office, and we don't do tests. And there's so many test centers out there, and then normally they call for patients or their friends or family members or who know and refer. And we don't invite the patient coming to the office. We normally do a phone diagnosis through FaceTime, WeChat, through different technology like WhatsApp or Skype. And like a long distance, we do a video chat or phone calls. And some of the patients are Spanish, they don't speak English, and my assistant will be the translate.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how they know about us. And then we do the diagnosis, we prescribe the herbal tea, and most likely it's a custom-made herb. And either we ship into them or somebody, the family relative, they will drive and then parking the car in the parking lot, and we just put it into their trunk.
Okay, so basically they can do a curbside pickup right outside of your office.
Yes, that's correct. That's correct.
That's very popular right now.
Yeah, we try to avoid, one-on-one or one-to group contact.
Right.
Yeah, that's what we
Okay,
do.
so why is it important to do a FaceTime consultation with them instead of just talking on the phone?
Yeah, that's a very good question, because look at patient's face and look at the tongue diagnosis. That's part of the diagnosis method. So for example, if the tongue coating is yellow, and that means internal heat. If the tongue coating is white or clear, that means they are cold type. That's one of the methods. We normally have 4 methods. That's one of the methods to help us to pick up the information from the patient. So if they do have an iPhone or other smartphone can do the video, we like to see that. If they cannot do the video, some of the patients are a little bit elderly, they don't know technology so well, we will tell their kids or grandkids to take a picture to send it to us as a text message.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a trend in the color of the tongue for COVID, or does it still vary from person to person?
Yeah, that's a very good question. We don't really have a typical tongue coating or tongue coating shape for COVID. It's because we don't look at it as a virus. We use the Chinese medicine traditional way to diagnose which pattern they belong to. So we focus on tonify and strengthen the immune system. Once the immune system is strong, immune system will fight for the virus, whatever the virus they have. Could be COVID-19 virus, could be other virus. So we focus on the virus. Actually, we don't focus on the virus. We focus on the immune system. That is why we base it on the pattern with the patient, the symptoms, combination with the tongue to identify what custom formula need.
Okay. So basically our bodies are designed to fight off viruses.
Yes.
But you boost their immune system, is that right?
Yes, that's the key. And if we focus on virus, then you talk about, we don't have an antivirus drug right now, and people get scary. And that is why Chinese medicine did a little bit different than Western medicine. We call chicken and duck. They look like the same animal, but sometimes they don't talk to each other, right? Because they look at things from different triangle. So Chinese medicine doesn't focus on the virus, like what you just said, is tonify the immune system, make the body stronger than before, let the patient get enough rest, and with education then to do the kanji, and drink a lot of water, keep the body warm, and if they sweat, need to change the clothes. So a bunch educations to make the body strong and rest well, less fear. So the immune system is strong, they will do the job which is they're supposed to do, is to protect our body.
So it's a combination of herbs,
yes,
of some lifestyle changes, and also diet?
Yes, diet is very, very important. And people don't realize you are what you eat. If you don't put the high quality food, the right food to your body, you just like you didn't add correct oil into your car. It's not gonna work.
Right. So you mentioned the kanji. What is the kanji?
Kanji is a traditionally Chinese food and traditionally a nutrition food with been used in many years in hospital in China. So wakanji is made by some brown rice, or you can use jasmine rice, you can use white rice, but the thing is rice, they tonify the spleen, and we will add the chicken soup inside, bone soup inside, and more vegetable inside. You can add so many, like meat, beef, fish, egg, anything you like. On YouTube, there's more than 2,000 different recipes.
More than 2,000. Okay.
Yeah. And you can add sweet, you can add sour, you can add any flavor you like. So the purpose is make so soft, so easy to observe. That is how they can observe the nutrition from different perspective.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. So how many patients at this point have you treated with COVID?
Oh, more than 100.
More than 100
Yes,
patients?
yes. Since the COVID started, and we didn't realize because we don't do any advertising, and patients just call and one get better and one refer another. Sometimes the whole family get affected. They have kids, elderly, and it was really fear and panic at that time when we began, and nobody know about anything about it.
Sure.
And we were focused on the immune system. That's what the cause of Chinese medicine. We never worry about that it's COVID-19. We never worry about is 13 years ago it's a SARS. We never worry about what type of virus it is, because that's not the principle in Chinese medicine. Chinese medicine is focused on the human. If the human balance, if the human body is strong, they will do the job.
So this must be a hard concept for people to grasp, coming from a Western medicine background.
Yes.
And
yes.
getting, traditional medicine. How do you kind of change the mindset of a person to embrace what you're offering?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I get that question a lot. Especially some people come in, they don't know anything about it, they never heard about it. I say, how does that work? You don't have a lab test, you don't have all these. So I try my best to explain to them and say, look, it's a different medicine. Think about it, it's a chicken and a duck. Have to understand chicken doesn't talk to the duck all the time, and they look like the same animal, but they talk about different language. So I say, you probably want to put all the information you heard before today on the side, so at least you don't get panic. Otherwise, oh my God, there's no cure, and then nothing we can do, or you stay home and then we'll have to wait for hopefully something came out. That thought is very scary, and that thought is very negative, is because people were scared when they have no solutions. People were scared when they have no hope. So I always tell people, human has been fighting with different diseases for many, many years, especially Chinese medicine. So we look at things a little bit different and don't focus on other things. Focus on your immune system. Once your immune system is strong, once your body is strong. So once I explain to the patient like that, they start to, oh yeah, maybe I should know what focus on virus. Then they start to listen. So,
right. So it's a whole makeover. It's a mental makeover and a physical makeover.
Yes, and a diet makeover.
And a diet makeover.
Yeah, a lot of times the patient doesn't like what I said when I suggest the diet. Oh my God, no ice cream. Oh, no pizza.
Well, that's the hardest part.
Yeah, no dairy. I say, oh, no cheese. That's my favorite. Oh no. I said, well, you can have that later, right? But when you recover, we suggest food a little bit warming. Just like you don't put the icy cold water in your radiator in the car, even they are hot, right? You just let them cool down. So the human body in Chinese medicine doesn't like cold. So that's a basic foundation. And try to explain to the patient a little bit easy way. The chicken and the duck, the car, radiator.
Right.
So hopefully they understand a little bit better. So.
Okay, those are great analogies.
Yeah.
So the patients that you treated, you said there are over 100. How
Yes.
did they know to come to you for treatment?
Oh, that's interesting. The first patient actually from New York. And at that time, I believe it's the beginning of the March. I have a patient in local in Florida, and she came in one day, Saturday, crying. She was probably 58 years old. I said, what happened? She said, oh, my daughter get COVID in New York. She's dying. She's only 28. I said, oh, how did you know? She said, I know it. She's been having fever, all the COVID symptoms for 3 weeks. She was so scared to go to the hospital because a lot of people die in that time in hospital when it's new for a lot of people trying to learn what's going on. And then I told her, no, don't worry. Maybe I can do something about it. So I just remember my teacher told me, when you see things or the disease, if you see the new name, if you see things like it never has any particular treatment for that name before, just quiet your mind for a second. Don't look at the name of the disease and look at what your body has been lost balance in that particular moment regarding Chinese medicine. Again, focus on the human body. So I saw myself, well, if that's the case, and I need to ask a couple questions to see which pattern her body was into regarding the Shanghai Lun theory we learned, or the formula my teacher was teaching me. So I say to the mother, I say, how about this? Instead of crying and worry, let me talk to her. So we do the phone diagnosis. We through FaceTime actually. And then and that actually funny, they ran out of ginger in New York. She was living by herself.
Yes, groceries were hard to get here too at one point.
Yeah, and then she was living by herself, and she couldn't leave the house, the apartment she was living in. And if you want to order something from Amazon.com, the next delivery day available is next week. So her mom was so panicked and worried because her formula required fresh ginger, which is her mom actually shipping the ginger from Florida to New York. And we do the diagnosis. I explained to her, do the kanji. She was a good patient. She listened right away. And I give her 7 days tea, and then she get better in 5 days. And the 2 bag I told her don't throw away. It's hard to get a herb, and just keep it just in case. And she was recovered. So after that case, I was like, wow, actually, it's faster than I think, because it was so scary out there. Everybody were talking about. So
it even surprised you how quickly it worked.
Yeah, it was quicker than I think. I saw it would take at least 2 weeks, but she recovered in 5 days. I said, that's not as bad as I think. I think I understand Chinese medicine can do a lot. I think I didn't know it was quicker than I think. Was surprised myself.
So within 5 days,
yes,
she was
better. Totally recovered.
Did she go back for another COVID test?
No, she was so afraid. She was like, I have all these symptoms, every single COVID symptom I have it, and my mom told me I have it. I'm pretty sure I'm 99% have it, and now I feel better. I'm alive now. I think I'm just going to die, and then I don't even want to go out of the house. So
and people are not sure how reliable the results are, because some people don't have symptoms, they're asymptomatic, yet they have positive results. Other people have extreme symptoms and their test results come back negative. So they're still trying to figure out the testing. And they're not 100% accurate.
Yeah, that's a very good point though, Jennifer, because I always tell patients, for you as a patient, you really care about how do you feel. If you feel good, actually you don't have any symptoms, your immune system is strong, the result, positive and negative, probably is not that important to you, right? In a certain degree. Yeah, you do want to know you're negative, you don't contagious other people, but if you have all the symptoms, you don't feel good at all, even your result is negative, then you better than positive feel great. So the positive and negative is one of the two. I think it's important, because you do need to consider other people, consider your community where you go to. But I think it's more important if it's that you feel better. Of course, all the symptoms gone and you show negative, that would be the best outcome. But if all your symptoms gone and then you feel better, I think that's what really matters to the patients.
I agree with that. Everyone wants to feel good no matter what the paper says.
Exactly. Carry the symptom is not a feeling. When you have all the symptoms could have diarrhea 20 times a day, headache, throw up, weak, talk, fever. That is present moment.
So have you had patients come to you with positive test results before getting their treatments through you?
Yes. For people who test positive, we do not suggest they come in, because we suggest they stay home, just in case when they dry or meet other patients can give to them. So then they will set up a phone diagnosis, phone appointment with my assistant set up the time. we will either talk over the phone, on the videos, on the chat. If they don't speak English, my assistant can be the translate. So I will ask them very detailed questions, from thirsty, headache, fever, diarrhea, all these detailed questions. We normally have 10 or more questions to ask. And then with combination, their face color, their tongue colors, only thing missing is we cannot do pulse diagnosis when they're not there. But that is not as important as other informations. And then once they get better, most of the time it takes 3 to 5 days to get better. They will ask, oh, I'm better, but when I'm going to turn to negative,
Right.
So normally I would suggest take the tea for a little longer because you do want the immune system come back 100% and all the stuff pass out to your body. We call 邪气 in Chinese medicine. And you can call virus in Western medicine, however you want to call it. But the stuff not belong to your body, they pass out. And that time you go to do the test and normally show negative. So most of the time, the patient, they will bring me both report. One is the before they came to see me, shows positive, and then one is after. They get better, they go back to show negative. And most of the time, they're so proud, like bringing oh my God.
It's like a report card.
Like a report card. It's like win a lottery ticket,
So you've had several patients come to you with positive reports,
Yes.
get your treatment for 5 to 7 days, go get a test, and come back with a negative report.
Yes, actually I even have one patient and she wrote us a very good review on Google. I don't even know that until 2 weeks later about how his experience was. He was recovered, I think, take 7 days because he had a heart condition before, and his wife only take 3 days. And he was bringing me the report with both his name, his wife's name, had the date on it before and after, and he put his personal email address on the review just in case people want to contact him.
He wanted to spread the word.
I said, well, I didn't know you do that. He said, oh, I do it from my heart. I thought I was dying because he was have a diarrhea 15 times a day and have a heart condition. He was over 60 years old. All the neighbor think he couldn't make it, and he just happened to say, what am I going to lose? I give a try.
Right. So he was a high-risk patient.
Yes.
And he had a pre-existing condition. And so his treatment, you said, was 7 days?
7 days.
And his wife, who didn't have a pre-existing condition, was 3 days?
Yes.
Okay, so there's hope for people with pre-existing conditions to recover with the same exact treatment.
Yes, for people who their body foundation a little bit weaker or they didn't take care of themselves too well in the past, they might take a little longer. Because again, this treatment is build up their immune system. If their foundation is weaker, then of course take a longer time to build up.
Right.
Yeah, but I believe if people follow the instructions, like what we do all these over 100 cases, you really have to follow the instructions. Not only take the herb on time, how to cook on time, take the congee on time, keep your body warm, change your clothes when you sweat, so avoid certain food. And then, so far.
Right, so it's a combination treatment.
Yes.
And so is the formula for COVID the same for every person and only the time period changes? Or does their tongue pattern kind of create a modification to the formula to each person?
Yeah, that's a great question. The formula we prescribe is custom-made formula. So their symptom, if the symptom change, the formula need to change because we'll go by the pattern. So for example, a patient, if they're in the severe stage, they might have a fever, nauseous, diarrhea, and sometimes hot, sometimes cold, sometimes hot. And I have a patient have lost sense of the taste, lost the sense of the smell. They might have diarrhea 15, 20 times a day. And they talk weak, they don't have appetite. So at that moment, we will use the formula will be a little bit different. And once they sense of the taste and the smell and the diarrhea, they came back and diarrhea stop, and then the fever go down, then we might need to change the formula.
Okay. And as you mentioned, your first patient was in New York.
Yes.
Do you have other patients across the country as well?
Yes, it's kind of interesting. I never thought about what we come from different states,
Right.
So she have a friend, she was a massage therapist. She have a friend that went to massage therapy school together, was actually from other state. And then so she was talking to her on her same age, I believe she probably 38 or 37. And her friend know about it, and her friend's father was diagnosed with COVID. And then her neighbor came visit for take care of them. That was before their result came out. And then she get tested. and her neighbor's boyfriend get tested. So ended up linking usually from a couple of patients from Houston, Texas. And then
all the way in Texas.
yeah, so it was like a friends, family, relative. So now we have quite a bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have some patients from probably 7 states now, and we have patients from Mexico.
And so how do you get them their medications quickly enough to treat them effectively?
We shipping to them, and we have a pharmacy manager, Sandra, always in the back. And then as far as I diagnosis will stand, she will make the customer right away. And if it's urgent, we shipping them overnight.
Overnight shipping.
Yeah. And then normally post office arrive the second day or the day after. And then if they're really urgent, we're shipping FedEx or UPS.
Wonderful. So people are watching this video, and for many people this is a whole new concept to them.
Yes.
And a lot of people like proof.
Yes. Right.
So what would you say to them is your evidence of this tea really helping someone recover from COVID-19?
Yeah, I want to say it is kind of scary when you hear about all the impossibles, and I want to say Chinese medicine been for more than 5,000 years, and the human body never changed. And acupuncture came to the United States in 1972, actually, when President Nixon visited China. It's kind of, I want to share a little bit background so people know it's not a strange medicine. It's out there for a while. So long story short, President Nixon visited China in 1972. That was China opened the door to American. That's the first president visit China, actually. So one of the workers go with him in China at that time. The trip has acute pancreatitis. So they do the emergency surgery to remove the infection on the pancreatitis, but they didn't use any anesthesia. They used acupuncture only.
Oh, really?
Entire time.
No anesthesia.
No anesthesia medication.
That's brave.
Yes. So he was feel amazed because he never saw about it, never heard about it, never experienced about it. So when he came back, and then he wrote an article to documentary what he did, what he experienced in there. He called it magic Asian needle.
Really?
That's the first time Western world heard about a tiny needle can do the job. So he posted the article on New York Times. That was like explode the war. They all want to know what is magic Asian needle. So a couple of months later, they create an exchange program. They send an American doctor to China. They invite a Chinese medicine doctor in here to show what the magic needle look like. And then so that's how acupuncture came in. Take at least 10 years, 15 years to become legal because you go through the lobbies, go all this. So it's still really new medicine to United States, to other Western countries.
Right.
And then acupuncture just very small percentage of the Chinese medicine. So for this pandemic, the COVID-19, all these things, in China it happened like almost more than 350 times in the past 7,000 years. For that, we don't have a Western medicine in China. It's all Chinese medicine at that time. So Western medicine going to China was like after 1840. And then all the happens in the past was Chinese medicine. So in that history background, in Chinese medicine has been fight for the disease for human body for many years, and then human body never changed. And if you want to, my patient laughing at me, if you want to simplify the human body, you need to sleep, eat, and pee and poop. So if you 4 things normal, you don't have a problem. If you cannot sleep, cannot eat, that's the problem. So I think that's a simple way to explain it.
That makes sense. So it's not like this tea just miraculously came about overnight during COVID.
No.
These are ancient traditional formulas
Yes.
that have been in practice in China for years, for
Yes.
hundreds of years.
Yes, that's exactly right. And the formula I'm using is not I created, is I'm learning how to use it. That's in the Chinese medicine book for 5,000 years. Actually, it's from Han Dynasty, particularly,
Okay.
called Zhang Zhongjing. And if you want to look it up, you get a lot of background about him. He's very famous, and he created this book called, he wrote the book, he created the formula called Shanghan Lun. So they have about 113 formulas. So my job is to learn how to use this formula. He already approved has been working since Han Dynasty. Well, the reason it's still working now because again, human body never changed. We focus on human body.
Sure.
We don't focus on the virus. So I've been lucky enough to have a lot of famous teachers who has been learn this knowledge generation to generation to pass on. So we just using the same formula he created and then learn how to make modification on the dosage, and sometimes need the two formula combined. I think I'm just learn how to use the formula. I didn't create the formula.
Right. So it's still a very scientific process.
Yes, yes.
It's just a different
Right,
type
right.
of process.
Yeah. So a lot of times, patient ask me how that works. You know, it's hard to explain in one or two sentences. I think about the better way to explain to them, just like think about like a food. Don't think about like other than anything other than other, because a lot of herb is a food. When you think about ginger is food, cinnamon is food. When you think about like sticky rice is a food, is herb. So
Right.
you don't need a prescription to buy the ginger, don't you? So
Right, exactly.
so it's just like a weak combination all this to become a nutrition. Like when you're sick, when we were little, when we're sick, well, the grandmother make you chicken soup, right?
Right.
Grandmother chicken soup.
I grew up with a lot of chicken soup.
Right. So when you have a stomachache, grandmother make you grandmother homemade chicken soup.
Right.
We don't have like a canned chicken soup at the time. We definitely don't have a prescription chicken soup. You know?
Right.
So thinking like that way is kind of like food, probably easy for people to understand. It is kind of food because we talk about nutrition all the time. You know?
Absolutely. So can people find this tea, this type of formula, at any Chinese medicine doctor's office?
That's a good question. They are need a professional diagnosis. It's not like you can just walk in to get it, because again, they has 113 formulas, and when you put different patterns together, they have different patterns. So it's not like hard to find a formula. It's like when you use which formula. I think that's the key. So if the patient have different symptoms in this pattern, they might require this formula. If their pattern change, your formula might need to change it to different one. So I suggest people call for make appointment or phone diagnosis for the we call TCN, traditional Chinese medicine doctor who train under the Shanghan Lun, that's a particular series, use their formula. That's been shown to work the most. And
That's important to know. So,
yes,
so not everyone has the same training or access to the same formulas.
yes, exactly. Because again, different people, different training background, and then the key it is, in my experience, for fix more than 100 cases, the decoction tea, which is the most traditional one, the herbal tea, you have to boil and cook. That's the most effect. And it's more and more popular now. People try to use the convenient format, like a powder or capsule, and that's a modern format. We do not have a powder and capsule in the past, and it's convenient, but sometimes you cannot compare the original tea. Just like grandmother canned soup, grandmother chicken soup, you cannot compare with the canned soup. Tastes different.
Right. So I know that a lot of people are wondering, why haven't I heard of this before? You know, COVID's been around for about 6 months now in the United States, and people don't know that they can come to you for treatment. And so a lot of people have ended up in the hospital and had some unfortunate circumstances. Have you done any advertising? How do people know about you?
Yeah, I don't do any advertising. I don't think I will feel allowed to do any advertising. I don't try to do. I'm lucky enough to have enough patients. But I did try to email our senators, governor, and Congress, and all the people I think were able to share this knowledge. And of course, everybody was busy at that time.
Right.
I don't know if my email ever goes through. I tried.
Fighting a global pandemic, right?
Right. And then I don't know how many people were open to it, listen. And I did try to say, if give me a stage, say give me 20 people, let me fix in 5 to 7 days. Let the result to show you let the result make the speech, you know.
Right.
But unfortunately, I've been trying a couple of different ways, and been trying the way I think we're able to reach them. I have not heard anything back, and I wasn't trying to promote this because I figure a lot of people still have a doubt. And recently have a case came up and then encouraged me, and a couple of my patients encouraged me I should say something. So here I am.
Right, and so we're protecting the privacy of several of your patients, but you have treated medical professionals, isn't that correct?
Oh yeah, actually, yeah. I don't want to go detail what her position, but
Sure.
she does work in the hospital, and it's funny because all she do all day was deal with Western medicine, and she has a many years illness and been diagnosed since she was little, and she was such no hope. She was diagnosed with asthma and all other lung conditions. Every flu season she got the flu, like every single one.
Wow.
But she was being consistent. Every time she get it, she call me, and we build her immune system up every single season. And now she's off all the asthma treatment she used to carry, and she was really grateful. Actually, she's the one to bring this up. She said, "FeiFei, you should say something."
Share the secret, right?
Yeah.
We have a global pandemic. We shouldn't keep this a secret.
Yeah, and actually, she's the one to call one of the gentlemen, DJ, was on the news, and he got the COVID-19 back to June 16, 2020, and then he was in the hospital for 1 month. He was on a ventilator for 1 week, and he almost died. And after hospital, he was on oxygen tank for 3 months, 24/7, on his young age.
Really?
So yeah, he was on the news, and then she saw that, and she never met him. She just called the phone number and said, "Hey, why don't you come to see Chinese medicine to give it a try?" And that guy said, "Well, I can't afford it right now." And he said, "Well, what if I pay for it?" The guy came, and that is how it ended up. She's encouraging me to do this,
Right.
I never
What
thought
a
about
blessing.
it.
What an amazing thing
Yeah.
for someone to do.
I know, it's like helping the community.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So is it affordable for people? What is the cost of getting this treatment?
Yeah, actually it's not that expensive. So normally take 5 to 7 days if you came early, like don't wait until so severe. And so $20 per bag, if you talk about 5 days, that's $100. And then if $30 per bag, 7 days is $200 plus office visit. So you talk about $200 to $300, probably $400.
To be rid of COVID-19
Yes.
within a week.
Yes.
That's pretty amazing.
Yes, I think it's not bad. Compare all the fear or especially now the school open, the parents worry about the kids, it brings so much anxiety and fear
Right.
and the worry and uncertainty to the community. So I'm grateful you invite me, and I think the passion encouraged me to deliver the message is like we do have solutions, and we have a hope, and people should be more open to it. And don't, instead of sit there, panic and worry, and
Right.
well, just give it
So
a try.
you made a good point. People are in a state of anxiety.
Yes.
Everyone's afraid to catch the COVID-19 virus if they haven't caught it already.
Yeah.
And it's not proven yet that they can't catch it again if they've had it once. So
Right.
typically when we see these viruses, you can't catch the same strain.
Mm-hmm.
But since this is so new to us, we're not really sure.
Right.
So are there any herbs that people can take to prevent catching the coronavirus?
Yeah, at a certain degree, yes. All we do is tonify the human body and strengthen their immune system. So if people already have a weak digestion systems, if they have a weak immune system, they're easy to catch a cold, easy to catch a flu, or easy to get sick, then the body already weak. So then we need to tonify this body way before any COVID or other disease come in. So we do have a formula, and then to create for the patient who don't have the symptoms or don't even have any contagion with other people who have the symptoms. The purpose is to still strong the immune system. It's just in different stage the formula may a little bit change. If they don't have
Right.
any symptoms, their body is cold type, then we might use a little bit warming formula. And typically have 2 formulas very popular to use to prevention.
Okay, so ultimately they need to boost their immune system.
Yes, that's the goal.
That's the goal, and you can help them do that.
Yes, with education, then through the diet. I think the diet is the most important thing, and also we use herbs to build up the immune system and increase the circulation. And all needed to do, like people have to open mind to listen to partial of the education knowledge from the Chinese medicine point of view.
Right. Now, as you've heard in the news, there have been a lot of politicians coming down with
Yes.
positive test results.
Yes, include President of the United States, Trump.
President of the United States.
Yes, yes.
And of course Melania as well. And
First Lady.
yesterday the news revealed that several other representatives came back with positive results.
Yes.
And they don't know about your treatment. So
Oh.
what can you say to them?
Well, actually, I did try to write to the White House, back to March. Actually, I wrote it again after I know President Trump was get diagnosis. My friend were laughing at me. Oh, you never get it. You are not an MD. They never listen to you. I said, well, never try, never know, right? I say, I'm not trying to, I'm just trying to share the clinic case. And actually, when President Trump, before he get test positive, I believe England has a prime minister, he get positive. I was trying to send an email to him as well. I said, well, England might be a little bit too far. Let me try United States first. So I feel like American people, American population, American culture is very open-minded, and if they were open to magic Asian needle back to 1972, if I say something about it, they might more open to the herbs, and it's very new to here, to this country. Talk about 1972, like 40 years, So I just want, doesn't matter what side of the politics, you're Democrat, Republican, or non-party official, when you get sick, you're a patient.
Right, a life is a life, right?
A life is life.
Mm-hmm.
And then for me my purpose is try to be a better doctor every day, and then to save people's lives. So I feel like I will try again. Hopefully President Trump can see this video, and maybe other local politicians can see this video. And doesn't matter which party you are, and when people are sick, we need to try our best to help.
Very good. Thank you so much, FeiFei Lu, for coming on to FNN News and sharing your story with us. We will interview several of your patients. This is a great story. Everybody's been dealing with this virus and trying to find solutions. So we do appreciate you bringing us an alternative option to pursue in the event that we get sick or know anyone that does get sick. I will definitely be recommending people to you.
Thank you so much, Jennifer, for having me.
It was our pleasure. Ladies and gentlemen, this is FeiFei Lu of Traditional Chinese Medicine in Longwood, Florida. She's accepting phone consultations, or you can visit her office. However, if you do have any type of COVID symptoms, she's asking that you please call her by telephone so that she can give you a consultation. Thank you very much for watching. This is Jennifer Rosario de Casiano with Florida National News.